What is happening, sports fans? It's your main man, Matt, from the DFS 5-pack. I am rocking it solo. It is Friday, May 13th. Friday the 13th. If you celebrate or don't celebrate those type of things, it is definitely Friday the 13th. We got a big MLB slate to talk over, 13 games. I love these Friday night slates. No weather concerns anywhere. So excited to break this one down with and for you guys. Before I get into it, I'm going to shout out our promoter real quick, ABC Islands. If you haven't checked it out, I don't know why you're waiting. We've had a bunch of people come on there and win money. It's just a cool new book online that you can use if you're into that sort of thing. The link and the promo code will be in the description section. I would appreciate it, and I encourage everyone to check it out and make some money over there. That being said, let's dive in. And now that I'm getting back into the swings of things a little bit more with the baby, I'm going to have betting those either with Patriot or solo next week. And then I'm going to be making the public and members only videos more next week. It's just been tough having the baby and the baby needing a ton of attention for the first few weeks at least. So it's all good stuff over here. I'm excited to get on here and break this slate down with you guys. Let me screen share this and we will be on our way. There's some spots I really like. So game by game or position by position. Could really do it any different way. I'm going to go game by game today because why not? So Houston and Washington, we got Josiah Gray at home against Framber Valdez and the Astros. I've been a fan of Josiah Gray. He came over in the Max Scherzer, Trey Turner deal with Keibert Ruiz, two of the Dodgers' top prospects, two of the better prospects in baseball. He's been good. This is not the spot I want to use him. The Astros are really good and don't strike out. But I don't love the Astros on paper. I will say, though, they're not getting any love, and they're always in play when they're not getting love. Yordan Alvarez, I'm pretty sure he had 2 home runs at one point. Yeah. I don't know why it's not on there, but he did. He had 2 bombs yesterday. There's a lot to like about him here. The Houston stack is not going to be popular, and I can always get on board with it when it's like that. Alex Bregman, 48 DK points over his last 3 games. Altuve is also hot right now. I doubt Jeremy Pena will be in the lineup. They do have a little bit of injury not concerns, but guys out. But their main horses are in. Kyle Tucker, 44 DK points over the past 2 games. The more I look at them, the more I want to use them. Again, I like Josiah Gray, but the Astros is a low-owned stack, especially with Coors getting so much love, is certainly in play in tournaments. And then the Nationals, listen, Cruz against the lefty, always in play, even though he's not having a great year. Juan Soto against anyone, always in play. Those guys are fine. Valdez limits power. I'm not overly excited about the Nats here. Soto and Cruz, Bell, I much prefer batting from the left side, so not where I'm going to go tonight. All right, Jays at the Rays. So Rays had a nice win last time out, finishing off their West Coast trip with a win against Ohtani. It's not like their bats went off, but they did enough to get the job done. We have Kevin Gausman at Drew Rasmussen. Gausman's been awesome this year. Just check the numbers. Only in this first start was he not great. 22 plus in every start since then. A couple big upside starts there, 30 plus at 10K. I don't love picking on Tampa, but they do strike out. He's getting love. I get it. He's having a great year. He's a great pitcher. I don't love the spot, but it's not the worst spot in the world. I understand why he's getting love. I don't think it's where I'm going to go tonight if I were making one lineup, but I would have no qualms with anyone who made that move. And then Drew Rasmussen, not against Toronto. He's been pretty good. He's not really a guy I want to pick on, but I don't want to spend $9K on him or $8,900 against the Jays. As far as these bats go, Gausman's going to be popular, so if I were making a ton of lineups, I'd want some Ray stacks. But, in a 3-entry match or something like that, hard for me to want to play my flag there. With so many good spots and ownership just not being as much of a thing with so many games in play. Can't see myself getting heavy on either of these teams. I guess I might be a little bit more intrigued with the Blue Jays just because they're not going to get any love. And They're really good. So Bo Bichette has, been much better of late. Vlad Guerrero, I have a feeling the big game's coming from Vlad sooner rather than later, like the big game. So those guys are intriguing. Teoscar, Springer, Gurriel. Yeah, I don't hate Toronto here, but I respect Rasmussen enough to say that they're not like on the top of my list or anything like that, or anything close to like that at all. All right, next up, we got Marco Gonzalez and the Mariners at New York. Max Scherzer and company hosting them. Scherzer's the top pitcher on the slate. I like the Seattle lineup a lot. As you guys know, we've used them a bunch, had success with them, especially early in the year. But this is Max Scherzer coming off a down start. He'd faced Philly in 3 out of his past 4. I like him getting like out of that NL East for a minute, facing the Mariners at home. Top pitcher on the slate for me. I like him a ton. I don't think you have to lock him in. There's other guys, Gausman, Garrett Cole, that are in his range for sure, but he's just my preferred favorite. And then Marco Gonzalez, no thanks. I'm a fan of his stuff, but he's lost it over the past couple years, and I'm much more interested in the Mets than I am Marco for sure. Speaking of the Mets, I'm not interested in Seattle here. This is one, if I were playing 150, I'd have a couple because Scherzer's going to be chalky and, it's baseball. Anything can happen, but on paper, not likely. As far as the Mets go, however, facing a lefty, Pete Alonso for sure in play. Mark Hania, presumably at the top of that lineup, was really good yesterday. I could see going right back there. Marte and Nimmo. Escobar and Davis. I like the Mets. Not a top priority for me, but a team that I could see, anyone getting to in a single entry or so, because I don't think they get a ton of love. All right, Baltimore and Detroit. We have Eduardo Rodriguez against Jordan Lyles. This is one where I can definitely see all sides of this game. I can see using Erod at 71 against a bad Baltimore team. I could also see using Lyles in Detroit against a bad Tigers team at 5,400. Lyles has been good his past 2 starts. So both of them make sense, but then the bats also make sense opposite them. More so the Tigers. The Orioles, they got to Mets a little bit yesterday, but if I were to get to some bats here, it would be the Tigers. I know Meadows and Grossman have pretty good numbers against them. Candelario's starting to heat up a little bit. They're also very affordable. So if you want to spend up on like a Scherzer and Cole, I don't hate that. Cabrera and Torkelson. Yeah, the lineup's fine. It's not sexy. It's not going to you're not going to be so excited about using them, but I feel like they got a pop-off game coming too, and Jordan Lyles is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and he pitched the gem against a good team and then gets lit up by a team like the Tigers. So nothing would surprise me here at all. All righty. Padres at Braves. My boy, Yu Darvish, who I love. I use almost every slate he's on, and now he's only 8,500. So I'm intrigued, but I also never use righties in Atlanta. Just not a spot I want to go to. Even guys like the top of the top, I tend to pass on them because they're also expensive usually. So I won't get to Darvish here, but I don't have interest in Atlanta bats. He's also a guy that can get blown up. So if you want Atlanta bats here, it's a tournament play. It's not the craziest play in the world. Fried has also he's been better than Darvish this year, coming off, 4 straight really good starts. He was dominant in Milwaukee or against Milwaukee in that last start. Now facing a Padres team that it is good. I don't really want to face them with a $9,300 Fried. I think he could be good here, but I could also see them getting to him a little bit just because of their bats. And this is mostly one I'm just going to stay away from both sides. I think that a guy like Machado as a one-off is interesting, having an MVP type year, massive power against left-handed pitching. And then, as always, like a guy like Acuna, we'll see. I'm sure he's back in the lineup today, but we shall see. Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. All right, sorry guys, back with you. I imagine Acuna will be back in the lineup, and he doesn't make the spot any easier for Darvish. That's for sure. He'd always be the guy. Him and Olsen. Swanson's been better of late, but he's going to be back at the bottom of the lineup. Yes, TJ Abrams was raking in AAA, but not back called up yet. Not called back up yet, excuse me. And then from the Brave side, talked about the Braves side as far as Acuna and Olsen. The Braves are good, so they're always in play. But I love Darvish, so actually, if I had to choose Brave stack or Darvish here, that's tough. I feel like the Brave stack has more upside. So if one of these teams, if Darvish or the Braves went off, it'd be the Braves. But in most scenarios, I think Darvish pitches well because he's a really good pitcher, and I always prefer good pitching over good hitting. All right, sorry about that little disruption there. Got a message I had to attend to, but everything is gravy over here. All right, Boston at Texas. We've got Nick Pivetta against Dane Dunning. Oh, Nick Pivetta has really not been great at all. Coming off a good start, though, against the White Sox, which is impressive. Righties against the White Sox, man, I never mind him, and he showed that last time out. Hadn't been great other than that. Not like I'm afraid of Texas, though. I don't think he's in play for me at 7,500, but Texas also not a team I'm dying to go after. And then Dane Dunning, who has also been good. I mean, he's 6,700. He's got 15 plus in his past three, including 30 and 18 in the other two in tough spots. I mean, 15 against Houston, 30 against ATL, 19 against the Yankees, tough spot against Boston. I don't want to roster Dunning here, but I don't think he's crazy. And then the Boston stack, they're also not getting much love. So I see both sides of this. More likely to stay away because I respect Dunning, but the ownership has Boston, intriguing. They're expensive, so hard to fully stack them. At least all their good hitters, but they're good, so I don't mind the play at all. All right, Yankees and White Sox. We saw the Yankees go nuts last night. Today we got Garrett Cole versus Vince Velasquez. I don't like the White Sox versus righties, and there's something wrong with them this year. Garrett Cole is wildly in play. I prefer Scherzer, but Cole is my number two. And then Gausman, personally, like Cole a lot here. I mean, what's not to like? White Sox are a tough matchup, but against righties, they're not as good. And then Vince Velasquez, I'm not buying what he's selling, especially in a matchup like this. No chance I use Velasquez here. I think the Yankees are certainly in play here. They're getting love. I mean, they're not getting as much love as the Royals or anything like that, but they're coming in on that next tier, and it makes sense. I usually prefer lefties against Vince Velasquez, but Stanton, 2 bombs last night. I mean, he's got 60-40 K points over the past 2 games. He's a notoriously streaky hitter. When he's going like this, he's always in play, especially at that price point. Aaron Judge mashing in play. DJ LeMahieu looks in great form right now. Double digits in 3 in a row with a big game yesterday. Gleyber Torres has power upside. And then Joey Gallo from the left side, not having a great year, but he's cheap, and I always prefer lefties against Velasquez. So the Yankees stack in play. They're going to get love, deservedly so. And the White Sox are not in play for me. All right. My Guardians at the Twins. We've got Aaron Savali at Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray was good last time out against Oakland at home. Only threw 66 pitches, but put up 20 DK points, not even getting a win because he only went 4 innings. I don't really like using guys against the Guardians, but he's really cheap. So 6,400 pitcher that's always been better at home. No arguments with it. And then Savali took him a while to get his groove right in the season, but he had been talking a bunch. I heard him talk a bunch that it was coming, and he finally felt really good in that Toronto start. Pitched a gem there. I wouldn't say a gem, but struck out 8 guys against a much tougher lineup than he has tonight. He's also really cheap. I don't hate Savali at all at 5,900, although he is more solid than spectacular, so I'm not excited about it at all. 1 second, guys. All right, I'm back with you. As far as bats go here, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sonny Gray is not a guy I love picking on a slate like this. I mean, Josh Naylor, yeah, he can play every slate he's on right now because he's just on fire. I mean, Jose Ramirez, same deal, under 6K. Not a team I really want to full stack. And then Minnesota, they're getting a little love. I respect Savali way more. I'm more on the Savali side in tournaments than I am the Twins. That said, they're affordable like they always are. Jorge Polanco, double digits in 3 or 4. Max Kepler, cheap, presumably at the top of the lineup tonight. Well, not leading off with Buxton back. Buxton always in play. One of the best players in the game right now. So, yeah, I get the Twins, but I like Savali too much to personally go there myself. Giants and Cards. Logan Webb at Jordan Hicks. Hicks has pitched more each time out. He went from starting off the season at 27, then 35, 46, 42, 63, 68. So he's gone up in every start but one, and that one was only a couple pitch different. The Giants are good. I worry about them pinch hitting here, though. So I'm not looking to use Hicks, but I'm not really looking to stack the Giants. I don't think they're ever a bad play because they're good, but the pinch hit risk is real. I don't think Hicks is bad, even if he's not great. Their bullpen's pretty good. I don't love the Giants here at all. And then as far as the Cardinals and Webb go, Webb has not been impressive to me over the last few starts. He got the win both in 4 straight starts. The past 2, he's given up 7 earned runs, 19 hits in those starts. He's only gotten the wins because San Fran scored a ton of runs. I'm not buying Webb at 9,200 on this slate. I don't think some Cardinals bats are crazy, namely Juan Yepez. His price is up, but deservedly so. Tyler O'Neill, Arenado, all those guys in play for me, even if I'm not like looking to full stack them in a single entry line or anything like that. All right, now we get to the big boy KC at Colorado. Freeland hosting Greinke. Freeland has been solid. I mean, he's a pretty good pitcher. Like the Rockies gave him a big deal. He's from Colorado, homegrown product. He had a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, he was like 3rd in the Cy Young voting in the NL. He's pitched really good recently. Not the hardest matchups in the world. At Philly's not easy, but then Cincinnati and Arizona, not necessarily, the toughest matchups again on the board. He's in play here, though, in tournaments, especially with KC getting so much love. Now, it's hard not to like KC on paper. They're a team that doesn't strike out a lot. Freeland doesn't strike guys out. They're going to put the ball in play. This ballpark is built for their offense, kind of speed and grind out at bats. They don't have a ton of power, but, Coors Field is, king for the extra base hits just because of the size of their gaps, et cetera, and the way the ball carries. So in tournaments, Freeland's in play. KC is going to be by far the chalkiest stack on the board. And it makes sense. In cash games, you want a ton of Royals exposure. In tournaments, if you want to get there knowing they're chalky and get different elsewhere, I don't hate that either. I won't be too deep on KC tonight in tournaments myself. I might use a couple pieces, a couple maybe lower-owned pieces, because they are really cheap and in a pretty good spot in cores. But they're not in some elite spot. I mean, Freeland's been pretty good. So I'm not buying his 19-plus point per game past 3 outings. That's going to continue every start going forward. But props where props are due. He's been good recently, and it's not like the Royals are that good at all. So we saw what they just did in Texas, basically nothing. Greinke, no interest. He doesn't strike guys out. I have more interest in Colorado than I do KC in tournaments. Their price tags are high. They probably should be. Much higher than KC, though, so that's why KC is getting so much more love. I don't know. Greinke doesn't strike guys out, and Colorado is in a good spot here. But I just think they're going to get love, too. And I don't go out of my way to target Greinke. I mean, he's still a pretty good real-life pitcher, but at much lower ownership than Kansas City in tournaments, if I were full stacking, I'd go to Colorado over KC. That's how I can put it. Now, the bats on the Royals that are going to stand out are Whit Merrifield probably leading off, Hunter Dozier, Sal Perez getting a ton of love, MJ Melendez as a drop-down option, Bobby Witt. I like Emilio Rivera. He's good against left-handed pitching, a little bit of pinch hit risk, but Witt's going to be more popular, so that intrigues me. Benintendi, lefty on lefty, never bothers me. Michael Taylor, he's not very good, but his at-bats have been good recently, and I feel like the big game's coming, so he's a guy I have some interest in. All right, we got 3 games left. Cubs and Diamondbacks. Drew Smiley at Zach Davies. Zach Davies, much more solid than spectacular. Was really good last time out against the Rockies. Doesn't mean he'll be good tonight. Was pretty bad for the Cubs last year, 2 years ago, one of those years. They all meshed together. I'm not using Zach Davies. I think the Cubs are definitely a reasonable play. I mean, not getting a ton of love. Wilson Contreras has big numbers off of Davies. He's having a good year. He looks good. Frank Schwindel, they're cheap also. VR, Ian Happ. We'll have to wait and see on their lineup. But the Cubs is a full stack. It's something I can get on board with for sure. And then the other side of it, we've got Drew Smiley, who I feel like people love picking on. I get it. I mean, when he's facing a team like the Dodgers or the Braves, it makes sense. Even got lit up a little bit by the Pirates. So, yeah, I mean, he's given up 5 home runs over his past 3 starts. Arizona's certainly not in a bad spot at all. They are getting some love, but anything other than the Royals is going to be pretty contrarian, given how many teams there are on this slate. And they look good. So Christian Walker against the lefty, wildly in play. Alec Thomas, really cheap. They got cheap guys all over. Cooper Hummel, he's been good recently. Jordan Luplow, he's been good recently. And then my boy, Ketel Marte, finally cooled off a little bit, but he'll be batting third tonight against the lefty, presumably, and I like him a lot. So definitely more interest in the offenses in this game than anything else. All right, Angels at A's. We've got DJ Jeffries against Chase Silsa. So let's first talk about Jeffries here. I have absolutely no interest in him. The Angels are definitely in play. They're expensive, though. So you look at Trout, Ohtani, Ward, Marsh. I mean, Marsh is the cheapest at $4,400. Rendon's $4,800. They are going to have a cheap catcher, so like Chad Wallach or Roma, and those guys stink, but at least they're cheap. I mean, you're not going out of your way for them. Jack Mayfield, 27. If Rengifo's in there, he's 21. So they do have some cheap pieces you can fit in there. But their main guys are expensive. Trout, Ohtani, Ward, Marsh, Adele, another guy crushing in AAA right now. Yeah, I like the Angels here. Jeffries isn't good. Not a great ballpark, but that doesn't really matter for guys like Trout and Ohtani. Marsh also in good form right now. So, Trout and Ohtani, obviously my favorites. And then you got Walsh, who is pretty affordable, actually. Taylor Ward, who won't get a ton of love, and then Rendon. Those are the main 5 for sure. All right, and then on the other side of this game, we've got Chase Silsa, who has been dominant basically in Double-A so far this year. 1.73 ERA, less than a 0.85 WHIP, and a 37-7 strikeout to walk ratio. Has completely skipped AAA. Risky for sure, but he's 5,500 and good matchup against Oakland. They're coming home from an East Coast trip. I'm highly interested. He's firmly on my short list. I prefer him in tournaments just because of the riskiness, but he is a guy that I'm highly interested in at this price point in this matchup for sure. One of my favorite pitchers on the slate as of right now. All right, last but not least, we've got Philly and the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw put on the DL, so Walker Buehler is getting the start. I don't want to spend 11-2 on him against Philly. I respect Philly's lineup. They got going last night. They've been good. They were good in Seattle, and they've been good here. Bryce Harper is on a tear right now. I could one off him any night, and tonight's no different. Kyle Schwarber just missed a couple deep balls last night as well. This is one where I'm not going to spend that much on Buehler, but I'm also not going to stack Philly here. One-offs are fine, but no thanks on the full stack against Buehler. The Dodgers, on the other hand, definitely in play for me. Listen, Kyle Gibson is a guy that, is usually pretty solid, but he's not immune to the blow-up. And the Dodgers, as we saw last night against Zach Wheeler in that pretty horrendous Philly bullpen, they can get to anyone. They put up 7 like that last night. They've lost 3 of 4. I think they get to Gibson tonight. I'm highly in the Dodgers as a tournament stack that won't get a lot of love. You got Freddie Freeman, obviously. Will Smith is cheap at 3,900. Max Muncy's cheap at 42. Bellinger's cheap at 41. Yeah, I like the Dodgers here. Mookie Betts, highly in play for me. The Dodgers are one of those teams that can go off on any given night, and it's not like they're facing an ace here. Gibson is fine, but I would not even think about using him here, and the Dodgers stack won't get love. So Dodgers high on my short list in tournaments, not in cash games. They're expensive, and again, not in the greatest spot on paper, but that's why they won't get a lot of love. That's what I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more content, more videos, more me, more write-ups, any of that stuff, go check out the DFS 5-pack. Go check out the link in description, the promo code, and the link for ABC Islands in the description section. We'd love to have you check that out. Have a great rest of your Friday, guys. I'll see you this weekend, and take care.